now we have a reading that really brings home the state of our nation for children.
Every 2 seconds during the school year, a public school student receives an out-of-school suspension.
Every 9 seconds during the school year, a public high school student drops out.
Every 20 seconds, a baby is born to an unmarried mother. Every 24 seconds, a child is arrested.
Every 27 seconds during the school year, a public school student is corporally punished.
Every 37 seconds, a baby is born into poverty.
Every 47 seconds, a child is abused or neglected.
Every 64 seconds, a baby is born without health insurance.
Every 75 seconds, a baby is born into extreme poverty.
Every 3 minutes, a baby is born to a teen mother.
Every 2 minutes, a baby is born at low birth weight.
Every 4 minutes, a child is arrested for drug offense.
Every 9 minutes, a child is arrested for a violent offense.
Every 23 minutes, a baby dies before his or her first birthday.
Every 32 minutes, a child or teen is killed by guns.
Every 66 minutes, a child or teen dies from an accident.
Every 3 hours and 33 minutes, a child or teen commits suicide.
Every 5 hours and 33 minutes, a child is killed by abuse or neglect.
Every 11 hours and 8 minutes, a baby's mother dies due to complications from pregnancy or childbirth.
In our rich nation today, 1 out of every 5 children lives in poverty. You heard our youth read the litany and tell us that every 37 seconds, a baby is born into poverty, and every 75 seconds, a baby is born into extreme poverty. The Children's Defense Fund has provided these statistics for churches all over the country this fall to hold a Children's Sabbath, a worship service like this one that highlights the issues facing our children today in America. These are astonishing statistics, and they indicate to most everyone sitting in this sanctuary that there is another nation that most of us do not ever see. Unless we get a glimpse of it in our professional or volunteer work settings. What is more, there is no outcry in the national conversation about the scandal of these numbers. How can this happen in such a rich nation? Pope Francis has observed, little by little, we are growing immune to other people's tragedies, seeing them as something natural. What is the norm in this country for childhood? Think about your childhood, where you went to school, where you lived, and ask yourself if that is the normative experience for our children today. I want to share the story of 8-year-old Gayle, who was asked to write an essay about her Chicago neighborhood for a contest sponsored by a local bank. The bank had expected to receive essays telling of childhood experiences of friendly police officers and games of hopscotch. Instead, they received essays like this one from Gayle. In my neighborhood, there is a lot of shooting, and 3 people got shot. On the next day, when I was going to school, I saw a little stream of blood on the ground. One day after school, me and my mother had to dodge bullets. I was not scared. There is a church and a school that I go to in my neighborhood. There are a lot of stores in my neighborhood also. There are robbers that live in my building. They broke into our house twice. There are row houses in my neighborhood, and a man got shot and he was dead. By King High School, Susan Harris got shot and she died. It was in the newspaper. When me and my mother was going to church, we could see the fire from the guns being shot in 4414 building. I was not scared. In my neighborhood, there are too many fights. I have never been in a fight before. There are many trees in my neighborhood. God is going to come back one day and judge the whole world, not just my neighborhood. I know these are really, really bad things, but I have some good things in my neighborhood. Like sometimes my neighborhood is peaceful and quiet and there is no shooting. When me and my mother and some of my friends go to the lake, we have a lot of fun. Sometimes the children in my building go to Sunday school with me and my mother. Also, the building I live in is so tall, I can see downtown and the lake. It looks so pretty. I believe in God, and I know one day we will be in a gooder place than we are now. Give us the spirit of a child. Give us the child who lives within. We read these words a few minutes ago. Unless we take on, inhabit the spirit of a child, will we even care? Will we have the ability to see the world as it really is for so many of our youngest citizens? I was at the mountain this past week for the Southeast UU Ministers Retreat, and our speaker was the Reverend Dr. Robert Franklin, who spoke to us about the moral crisis in America and opportunities for renewal. He, too, referred to this immunity to other people's tragedies that Pope Francis identifies, except he named it as an erosion of curiosity and a loss of connection. You would think that our ability to access media on multiple platforms 24 hours a day has made us more curious about how other people live. But in fact, it has not helped us to connect more deeply to the world around us. All those human lives turn into one more news story. What else can explain the way that, in the words of the Children's Defense Fund, when we are bombarded by so many images, we see pain but do not touch it? We hear weeping but do not comfort it. We see thirst but do not satisfy it. While the headlines may change, the pain, the hunger, and the thirst remain. They do not go away. And so we need to denaturalize suffering in our world, like extreme poverty, and to stop seeing it as a statistic rather than as a reality. Why? Because poverty has a face. It has the face of a child. It has the face of family. It has the face of people, young and old. It has the face of widespread unemployment and lack of opportunity. It has the face of forced migrations and of empty or destroyed homes. It has the face of disease and illness going untreated because of lack of good medical care or insurance. Marian Wright Edelman of the Children's Defense Fund reminds us that today there are many ways that children's well-being is jeopardized. She says children need a healthy start, but threatened repeal of the Affordable Care Act and destruction of Medicaid will make the number of uninsured children soar. Children need a head start, but will require our loud, persistent voices to ensure our nation makes needed investments in Head Start, early Head Start, affordable, accessible childcare when parents are employed. Children need a fair start, so we must be vigilant to guard against tax cuts that advantage the wealthy and give crumbs to low and middle income families, and protect important safety net programs while also advocating for needed increases in the living wage. Children need a safe start that includes curtailing the proliferation of guns with common sense gun safety measures and dismantling the cradle-to-prison pipeline crisis that criminalizes Black and brown children at alarming rates through zero-tolerance discipline policies, racial profiling, mass incarceration, and more. And now more than ever, children need a moral start, which begins with seeing the adults in their homes, communities, and places of worship living out the values of our great religious traditions, including love, justice, respect, and welcome, most especially for those who are young, impoverished, and marginalized. What can we do? It seems overwhelming. This service is a start. The Children's Defense Fund started the national observance of Children's Sabbath 25 years ago. But this is the first Children's Sabbath we've had here at UUCA, and by holding this service, we unite with other faith communities in this country to do three things. The first is we celebrate children as beloved by us and by the eternal and trusted into our care. The second is we raise awareness of the problems facing children and families in our nation. We can draw upon the texts and preachings in each of our religious traditions that call us to nurture and protect children with love and justice. And third, we can join in immediate and long-term action to nurture, protect, and seek justice for children. This celebration is part of a broader children's movement that aims to unite communities and religious congregations of all faiths in a common commitment to improve the lives of children across the nation throughout the year, not just once a year at a Children's Sabbath. So I'd like us to think about what we can do. And I know we ask a lot of you. I know I ask a lot of this congregation. Just look at what you're being asked to do this week. I just ask you to take home a guest at your table box so you can drop your change into the box for the next 3 weeks, and in that way make true this year's theme, Small Change is Big Change. We're asking you to donate to the Fund for Holiday Presents for the Children, served by Child Enrichment Incorporated, that organization that assists children through trauma such as domestic violence and abuse, providing court assistance through the CASA program. Last year, Child Enrichment had partners like us who bought presents for more than 350 children in their system. This year, we have 2 sets of siblings to buy for, a family of 2 and a family of 5, and we have until the last Sunday in November, that's next Sunday, to raise $120 for each child's gifts, so a total of more than $800. We're also asking you to donate to this church on Giving Tuesday, November 28th, so that we can help fund, among other things, buying the food for staff and students working at the Equality Clinic of Augusta. This clinic is run by medical student volunteers and is open only twice a month. The students and medical professionals who work there serve a growing population of the LGBT community who are underinsured or non-insured, coming not just from Augusta anymore, but from neighboring states. Our church provides food for the medical staff and volunteers who work straight through the late afternoon and evening as they cram as many patients as possible into clinic hours. They are booked up months in advance now. Right now, we sometimes have a few people and sometimes none who bring food for the clinic, and so there is an expense when Will or John have to purchase food to take down to the clinic. And there's more that we can do in the community. Reverend Larry Fryer, who works with the Richmond County Alternative School, contacted me last year to ask if we could provide a couple of turkeys for the staff holiday dinner, which I was glad to do. Those teachers and staff work hard to provide students with an alternative to suspension from school and interruption of their education. Reverend Fryer and I will be working together this year to discern what concrete steps our church can take to partner with the alternative school. And it may involve money, but equally may involve time that volunteers from this congregation can give for mentoring or other activities. What can we do for children? In addition to equipping ourselves with knowledge about the issues that have been identified here this morning, we can build our beloved community for our children. We are building it for our children, all our children, by our dedication, by our commitment to justice, by our grounding in love, and we hope that they too will have a vital part to play one day in becoming those who will take over from us in that work. May we be the ones who make it so. Blessed be. Amen.